Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Chris Van Meter here with another Versus video for you. Today I'm going to have the pleasure of beating up on Brian Braun-Duin, recent PTQ winner. But let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. I'm going to play Black-Red Zombies. I'm very excited to take a look at this deck. It had done very well in the past, even winning a Grand Prix, and it never really had any actual 2-drops before, but now we have some. So let's take a look. To start out, we got 23 land. We have 12 of the 1-drops, Diregraf Ghoul, Gravecaller, Rakdos Cackler, all very good at what they do, attacking your opponent. Very mana efficient. Gravecrawler even works very well since we have a bunch of other zombies in the deck. Moving on to the new 2-drops, we have our Spike Jester and Blood Scrivener. Spike Jester is just a 3/1 haste for a red and a black mana. He is a goblin, so it could be relevant with our Cavern of Souls at some point, but he's just a very efficient body that just puts on a lot of damage. He definitely can be compared to Rakdos Shred Freak that we currently have available for us, but most of the time a 2-mana haster is going to get in like twice before they actually put something in its way, which is almost an entire separate attack from a 2-power haster. So definitely excited to see how much damage I can do with him. And then Blood Scrivener allows us to continue to stay aggressive with the 2-power, 2-mana creature. It is a vampire, which is relevant for our Cavern since we do have Falconwraith Aristocrat in the deck. But how he works is if you would draw a card when you have no cards in hand, you pay 1 life and draw 2 cards instead. So it is a replacement effect. So if you have no cards in hand and play something like Sign in Blood, you can replace the first draw but not the second because you won't be hellbent after you resolve the first trigger. But it definitely is going to allow us to dump our hand very quickly with all of our aggressive 1 and 2 drops, and then continue to draw multiple cards in the mid to late game to try and finish our opponent. Drops Messenger at the 3 spot, just very efficient, does a lot of damage to your opponent. You can combo him with Aristocrat to do even more damage when you need to. Speaking of which, Falconwraith Aristocrat is just the best 4-drop for the deck. A lot of zombie decks could also even go so far as to play Hellrider, but because I'm playing Blood Scrivener, I definitely want to keep the curve as low as possible for the deck so I can play out lots and lots of spells and start drawing extra cards. But I did want to play at least 1 Thundermaw Hellkite, so I feel like it is the best 5-mana finisher right now for us that we possibly could be playing. Moving on to the removal, we have a couple Victim of Night, which helps us to kill like Thundermaw Hellkites, Loxodon Smiters, troublesome cards like that. Also kills Trostani. I know Brian has a pretty big love affair going with Trostani right now. It's very good against this deck, so I definitely want some way to handle that card. And then we have 2 Pillars and 4 Searing Spears. These can all go to the dome, do damage to our opponents. They can also remove troublesome creatures. Pillar Flame's very good at getting rid of like Arbor Elf and Avacyn's Pilgrim that the junk decks are playing. You can combo with a Diregraf Ghoul to kill a 3 or 4 toughness creature like a Loxodon Smiter or a Augur Bolus. But we definitely want to be using things like Searing Spear and Victim of Night on those creatures so we can just continue to do damage. Again, I'm definitely excited to see what these new 2-drops bring to the deck, as it is already an existing archetype that has kind of fell into the wayside a little bit, mainly due to the popularity of Burning Tree Emissary making the other aggressive decks better than this one. But I feel like Blood Scrivener is going to give us some late game, and Spike Jester is going to let us punch through some additional damage before everybody else gets to start clawing their ways back into the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sideboard. So here we are with the sideboard. Got an array of answers for a bunch of different things that I feel are going to be thrown at us now that we're going to be in Dragon's Maze Standard. First off, we have some Vampire Nighthawks to come in against the other aggressive decks. There's still a lot of Searing Spears being thrown around, so he isn't like 100% super crazy awesome. But the 2/3 flying Death Touch Lifelink is just still very good in the aggressive decks in the mirrors. Like he can block Burning Tree Emissaries and doesn't die. He can trade with Flinthoof Boars and gain you some life. Just an all-around good man. We have a 3rd Victim of Night to come in when we have problem creatures that we want to get rid of that happen to not be vampires, werewolves, or zombies, like Trostani. We have another Thundermaw Hellkite that's very good as a finisher against the control decks, as well as it's very good against decks with Lingering Souls in them. Fortunately, Tangible Virtue kind of makes it so I don't wrath their board, but at the very least I can tap all of their flyers and get in some damage. We do have Slaughter Games. Primary targets for these are going to be decks with Sphinx's Revelation in them, as well as decks with like Angel of Serenity or Unburial Rites in them. So usually it's going to be against Junk Reanimator and Esper or Blue-White-Red Flash. Next we have Electrickery, which is an ode to Jerry T, coming up with something that's just very good against the current meta, and I think that it's still going to be good as we move forward. It kills all the mana dorks like Arbor Elf and Avacyn's Pilgrim. It's also very good against cards like Lingering Souls, especially if he doesn't have an intangible virtue. Pillar of Flame, just to flesh out those so we can go up to 4 post-board if we need to. Very good in the mirror if we need to kill other Gravecrawlers or Drafts Messengers. It's good against the mana dorks, but also pretty good against even some tokens if they have intangible virtue. Even if we're having to use a card to kill like half a card, sometimes you just have to do it. Then we have Mark of Mutiny. It's very good against basically the Thragtusk decks. A lot of times they're going to be putting on a lot of pressure. They're going to be chump blocking, maybe even just trading some creatures, and then it gets to a point where they're going to play Thragtusk, gain 5, and think that they're going to be safe. And then we can just take it, hit them for 6. If we have an Aristocrat out, it's even better. Then we get to hit them for 10 and get a 3/3 afterwards. But this card is definitely very good against the Thragtusk decks. So I'm definitely excited to see how it's going to do. I'm not sure how good it'll be against Brian's deck, just because he has all the tokens. So there's probably going to be blockers for it. But I feel like if I can combo it in junction with Falcon Wraith Aristocrat, it's still going to be very, very good against him. So let's go ahead and play some Magic and see what happens.